There we go. That's a little better. Down. Hi, everybody. Actually, I don't think anybody's here, but maybe you're watching later. Last week, I am here. Last week, here we go. It's all blurry again. I was having the same problem. Let's see if I can fix this first. Seems to be having such. That doesn't seem to be too bad. Oh, boy, that's horrible. This angle will be better, but I don't think I can paint and hold this at the same time, that's for sure. So, hang on while I try and fix this one more time. All part of the learning curve. And since nobody is here, actually waiting on me, I'm going to move a couple things. Let's see if I can't get this to be what I want. Then I'll go edit it. It would be great, but obviously. So far, YouTube I haven't figured out how to set up my screen ahead of time. Okay, that's clear, but that's not. So I think we're going to have to paint around things. The worst live streamer on the face of the earth. That's all right. Definitely having issues here. Well, it's better, but there's still a lot of reflections. All right. Well, and I don't want to paint. Um, so it gives you half there. That's a little bit better. Okay. So it's at a terrible angle, but like so this is my version of one of the words from last week. So let me just start all over now that we're already 6 minutes into this. I will edit out this first part. So when people come to actually see this, they won't have to bother with all the problems that I just had with going live. So if you have not seen one of my earlier videos, my name is Dawn and I'm an artist with Aphantasia. Just briefly put, aphantasia is a condition where basically people are unable to see images in their mind, image-free thinkers. And so I wrote a grant basically to explore that a little bit and bring awareness to it, because I feel very strongly that it has implications on comprehension and learning, and also some places where people use visualization in therapy, or maybe part of their work to help people maybe get over a challenge or a struggle or some type of an issue. Even like meditation, those kinds of things are not really something that I'm able to do because I can't picture that pretty little beach with the nice white floating clouds going by. So anyway, in a nutshell, that's kind of the why. And the last week, I started paintings based on some of the themes I'm exploring. One is memories. Since I'm unable to bring up images, I still have memories, but a lot of times they're just not very clear because I can't bring up the images. So it's daily events sometimes are high, hard to remember. But major events usually are easy to remember, but of course, details are not there. And so that's one of the themes. The other theme is apparitions, which are based basically on abstract works and me just reacting to the canvas and kind of walking through that process a little bit. And the same with tools, which is the last theme, because those are such a familiar object to most of us, like this here, the hammer. Okay. And so I am painting the tools without any photo reference or without having the physical object with me. And so I'm just remembering or painting on what I know about the object, and where that information is stored and how I'm retrieving it is what remains for the professionals and the experts, to unlock. And if they can unlock that, maybe it's something where those of us who are image-free thinkers might be able to access someday. Maybe we don't want to. There's two sides to every story. So anyway, so this is my hammer that I did last week. It's just currently done with a titanium white and a burnt umber, just as an underpainting, and I will add color. I don't know if I'll add color. Yeah, I might add color to that today, maybe a little bit. And so I think it's actually undergone quite a few changes since the last session where I left it. When I stood up after I was all done with the live streaming, I stood up and I turned around and I went, oh, no, 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 that is not right. And I know it's still not right, but I don't have the mental imagery to pull up to say, you know, oh, well, this is what's wrong with it. Where, you know, that's always the question that people come up with is, well, how can you be an artist without being able to see images? And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a hammer I have sitting here. And I haven't looked at a hammer since I painted this. So again, no physical object in front of me or no photo reference was used in this. And that's how I will progress on all the tools that I do. And if you have a suggestion for a tool, you know, and it's got to be a pretty common one that I would be, you know, I would know of, you know, and suggest 2 or 3 and put it in the comments. So, oh, this one is completely different. Okay. So now I have my hammer here. Okay. And I can start comparing, and I'm not going to change this painting other than color. But now I can see how off I was or how close I was. And this particular hammer has a division here, which I don't know if they all do or not, you know. So then it's got this black handle with a bunch of, and this is a pretty old hammer, you know, with some labeling on here. And I thought about putting a label in there, but I didn't know what it would be. And some little holes, and it's kind of what looks like a rubber sleeve over this. Maybe, I think, just to provide a better grip on the handle of this. Proportion-wise, length-wise, I think I did okay. I did add this little curve in there. That's one of the things my friend Laura mentioned after she saw a photo of it. She goes, I would have never thought about that part of it. So that's kind of the interesting thing, is I'm retaining some of that information somewhere, you know, on it. And it looks like this part of the hammer, I'm quite a bit off on. So mine is much shorter than this. This here, I guess I forgot about those. There's kind of a little planes, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So kind of a hexagon shape. You can see right there. So I didn't include, I have it a little bit, but I guess I thought it was curved there. And so, and this part of the hammer here doesn't dip down as much. So this should have been a little bit more level up in this area. This area is not quite right either. And this should have gone up more. The angle of, well, I'm not sure what these are called on a hammer, is not too bad, but it's not right, you know. So not too bad. And I knew I did okay here where this part of the handle is smaller, you know, along this edge. So that's that. I threw in a couple nails. I did not really define those, you know, as far as being realistic. They were more of a artistic choice in there. So that's where the hammer is at. And I'll finish that up so it's all pretty, but I won't change the basic structure of the hammer itself as far as what I did, because I want that to be there. And, you know, because for exhibition purposes later. So, like I said, if you have a suggestion for a tool, go ahead and make that in the comments. And then, the other part of my grant is I want to propose an interactive part. And last week I used a word generator that makes up words. Okay. And so these were the 3, where's the camera? Okay. Those were the 3 words: reebix, tempruck, and hutal. I was tempted to do tempruck because it's like it almost sounds like, well, I won't even say anything. I won't put any input because if you want to participate and you want to do a drawing, doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be kind of a doodle, a sketch. If you want to make it something more than that, great. And then you can post that over on my Facebook page or make a comment of, you need to send it somewhere, to me, and I'll get in contact with you about it. If you can't post it on my visual arts Facebook page, I think there might be a link in the YouTube info about me. If not, I'll see if I can't put one in. So anyway, so I chose I wasn't going to say anything. Okay. Well, now you have to do one of the other ones if you're going to do it. And I'll put, I don't think I'll do it this time, but maybe next session, I'll put some new words out there. So the idea behind these words is for you to get a sense of what it's like for us to have aphantasia. So if you're trying to picture what this looks like, in your mind, and you can't, that's the same experience we have. So with that, and then so part of all of my grant process here is to create these paintings based on, like I said, my inability to pull up images. And I have observed a couple of things is, like I talked about with the hammer, I had enough information and skill set to get what's pretty close to a realistic hammer, enough for you to at least be able to identify it. There's obviously some stylistic aspects to it, in the way that I paint. Then this one here is my version of the reebix. Okay. And that is based on just, I kept thinking about like the words helix and then any word with which is kind of like a return or a repetition, rerun, repeat, return, it's that kind of cycling kind of a thing. And so, and the helix, is kind of, I think it's like that, almost like what a DNA thing looks like. I think it's like a crossing of lines, as far as a shape goes. And so I just kept thinking, okay, this thing needs to return upon itself, and I kind of imagine it to be something like a metal component, like, okay, you need to install a reebix, into that, and so here it just doesn't do anything except for loop back into itself, so if you're to follow this along here, it comes back down here and then there it goes again. And these were just some additional lines kind of playing off the helix kind of thing. So that I'll probably be adding a little color to it. I would like to paint it so it looks like metal. I'm just not sure if my skill set is that, so I think I'm just going to do some blues and whites with it. And maybe I'll be able to change it once I get going. So that's kind of the session for today, except for, oh, shoot. I think I'm going to try and mix up a little bit of color it's a little tough to tell, but I have, let's see if I can see it somewhere along here. There we go. I have a titanium white, and then I have a ultramarine blue, I think it is, and then a viridian green, And I'll throw in a little bit of, is just some liquid, which helps thin the paint. And I want to create kind of a glaze. I think I'll do kind of a teal colored here. Maybe just a tinge of white in there. Yeah, that kind of brings a nice, beautiful color. Then I'll thin it a little bit more. And then we'll see what happens here. This allows me to paint right over this without losing any of the values I created. Didn't have that quite mixed up quite enough. I'll have to mix up some more here. This tube was done with an underpainting of using burnt umber and titanium white, and I used oil. I'm using oil paints. Acrylics are fine, nothing wrong with them. I just prefer the working time of the oil paint. I tend to mix a lot of my colors too on the canvas, which sometimes gets me into trouble, but mostly I'm okay with it. So one of the things that's been really interesting with finding out that I have aphantasia, and I talk about that a little bit in the first video, so if you want to go back and watch that, you know, where when I found out I had it and blah, 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 and how I found out, and that's always kind of a big thing when people do find out. I'm painting at a really weird angle right now so that the camera can be shown on the canvas, or I mean, camera's on the canvas in my painting process, but I have this huge reflection, so it's really hard to see exactly what's going on here. I wonder if I can shut that light off. Oh, and I can also just dump my camera. And this is where I was having problems before, was the camera not being in focus. I don't know if that really changed anything or not. I intend to get a new camera, and I've been researching. I just haven't decided, so that this is a little bit better process. Not sure what's going on there, but I have this weird little white chunky spot. One of the things that I do as an artist is I tend to change my mind a lot. And that's what's happening right here, right now, is I've decided to kind of not go with the glaze. And I'm going to go in the more opaque, although it's still got some transparency just because it doesn't have a ton of white in this paint. So both the blue and the green naturally have a transparent component to it. But you can see I'm starting to cover up those little lines, but I'll have those here as a reference to point out later. Not to point out, to cover or use later as a reference. And that happens an awful lot when I paint, is when, oh, you guys can't, you can see my palette just fine. Yeah, that is not good. I got to figure that out. If anybody has any suggestions on that, I am not afraid to ask for help in areas I'm not an expert in. Sometimes I think it looks like a donut. But remember, it's a reebix. So this is what my reebix looks like. It's just made up. I would suggest you do tempruck if you're going to play along. And I hope you do. I hope you play along. I also find it really weird talking to myself. Not that I probably don't do that. And I'm not doing a live, but So right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make this look three-dimensional, like a tube. And I'll probably put something with a high contrast. I kind of actually have two different values going here, so I may actually do two different colors in those areas. Yeah, see, you can't see that. Doesn't want to refocus. Bummer. Oh, all right. Because I'm having so many problems, I think I will probably end up stopping here soon. My main point for today was really to show that first object of a hammer. I think the next one I will do will be, if nobody makes any suggestions, will be a whisk, W-H-I-S-K, which, if you're not familiar with that tool, a common kitchen tool. And I use one quite a bit, so I feel like I have a good handle on what one looks like, but Let's see. What the heck? Let's see if I can. I'm going to go in with some straight blue. It's interesting. Nope. And blue, this blue is transparent enough and that's still popping out. So I may have to figure out a different color there. See if I can't get that to disappear. All right, well, I probably could go a few more minutes. There you can kind of see what's going on. Let's throw in some white there once. Those of you who by chance are new to painting or drawing, notice that I'm following the curve of my reebix, my made-up object, so that just gonna go really dark here once. So that it takes on a little bit more form. Sorry. That's one of those disconnected moments I talked about in video one. It's not dark enough. Anyway, so the form is that three-dimensional quality. And if you follow, like if you, instead of me going like straight across and filling in, following the contours of the object, even though this is made up, will help make that look more three-dimensional. So that's your little tip for today in creating artworks. This might end up being just a monochromatic kind of piece, which I'm okay with. I like it. Kind of has a pretzel quality. That's the one thing that our left brain likes to do, or the left side of our brain, not our left brain, likes to classify things, identify things, name things, so that, you know, it's all neat and orderly, and there's no interruptions. You know, everything's like in its little spot, tidy. And so me trying to identify this reebix, okay, by saying, oh, it looks a little bit like a pretzel, but it's not. It's not a pretzel. It's this repetitive thing. If I suppose if there was a thing over here, it would be a pretzel. But I need a And I forgot where I was going. So anyway, with the idea that you, if you don't have aphantasia, can't identify something, there is a little bit of a correlation maybe where you can sort of imagine what it's like to not have mental imagery. I'd be curious to know too on if you're joining in on the comments. If you do have aphantasia, totally up to you if you want to share that information, or if you can see images, to what degree. I talked about that, I think, earlier, in that some people it's faint, a little bit almost, maybe one color, grayish, kind of, just barely an image, but they have an image. And then there's people, so there's certain, there's a range of this ability. Some people have it to where it's very clear. Some people have the capability of turning their objects in space, so to speak, where, they can, if it's an apple, they can not only see the color and the size and the type of apple, but they're able to rotate it around, turn it upside down. Some people have the uncanny, and I think this is amazing, where they can run little movies like in their head, especially of past events or memories of theirs. But then some people actually can project it out in front of them, almost like a hologram, type of thing. I'm going further on this painting than I thought. Because I didn't think I was going to do it in a monochromatic, but I kind of... And this is a lot how I paint. It's a total reaction to the moment in time of, I don't... somebody described it, it's like you're translating what other people might have in their head onto the canvas at that moment. So your imagination, for people who can imagine mental images in their brain, instead I'm doing it over here, which I thought was a really interesting statement. And I like it, because would this be something then I would imagine? I mean, and I did imagine it. It just takes me an extra step. All right. Okay, well, I will continue this. I will add in my lines, but no need to hang around, because I think I got to let that dry a little bit. Be curious. But while I have this paint, I think I'm going to... start filling in the background over here. It's always fun to add color. All right. Oh, you can't even see any of that. So, all right. I'll pull this up a little bit so you can kind of see. Throw a light on it, see if that helps. Reflection's really bad. We'll figure it out though. All right, until next session, I'll see you later.